I'm about to pop off with this video, just so everybody knows. One of the most confusing questions that singers ask is, what should my throat be doing? And historically, the answer is surprisingly consistent. Over the last couple weeks, we've been talking about vocal technique from this book called We Sing Better, and it discusses the quotes and the techniques of the greatest singers from the 18th and 19th century. And these singers did not think of the throat as something to push, widen aggressively, or control mechanically. Instead, they trained the throat by respecting registers, avoiding force, and allowing each part of the voice to develop its own natural quality. Today we're going to explore how historical singers thought of the throat across registers, why forcing the middle voice damages both high and low notes, and how chest mixed head voice relates to the ease in the throat. And finally, practical exercises that will follow this old school logic. Alexis Garade, I think that's French, but I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, so you're welcome to correct me down below, teaching in Paris in the 1830s, insisted that the singers must first observe the different qualities of sound belonging to each register. Not to unify them. Let me say that again. Not to unify them. Not to unify them. Not to smooth them out immediately. Did you hear that? Not to smoothen out your break, but to discover them. The idea is illustrated perfectly in the famous example of Sir Charles Stanley. When Stanley studied with Gaetano Nava, another teacher later mocked him, saying, when he sings low, he sounds like a bass. In the middle, like a baritone, and up high, he sounds like a tenor. But that's not a flaw. How is that a flaw? I don't understand. And people today would say that's a flaw. It's not a flaw if you can sing everything. I'm about to pop off with this video, just so everybody knows. James Anderson makes it clear, this exploration was the training. Stanley's throat did not stay fixed in one register. It responded naturally to a low register, the middle register, and the high register. And because each area was respected first, Stanley later developed a wide-ranging, even, and carrying voice. The key idea is that the throat is not meant to feel the same in every register. One of the strongest warnings in this chapter that we're talking about now concerns the middle register. The mixed register, some people call it, but let's just call it the middle register. Crivelli wrote in 1840 that it is not by force that this middle quality can be made full and round, but by steadiness and ease. And Anderson reinforces this repeatedly. The middle voice is not meant to do the work of three registers. And what we hear a lot today, not just in opera, but in lots of different styles of singing, is everybody singing in mix. When you have mix, you can't sing very high, you can't sing the top range without tiring yourself out, and you can't sing a low range, because if you're singing only in mix, then your chest register goes out the wazoo, and then you can't talk afterwards. Agnes Larkham later warned that making the middle voice carry everything, one, limits range like we talked about, dulls the tone so it sounds kind of mothy or muffled, it doesn't have a nice ring to it, and leads to vocal fatigue. Girls, let me tell you something really quickly. We've talked about my journey when it comes to singing and how tumultuous it's been in both my vibrato, how I've had a vocal injury from COVID, but I also was singing in mixed register like all the time. And I would sing for 20 minutes and then I wouldn't have a speaking voice afterwards because I wasn't utilizing my chest voice at all. And then I couldn't even sing above the staff. I'm a soprano and I couldn't sing above the staff. That's a problem. I'm getting really heated, and this video is going to be two different videos because it's such an important technique that you need to learn about. So this is what happens in the throat when we push our middle register. The throat tightens, it loses its elasticity, so right, I couldn't sing above the staff, and blocks resonance above and below. Historically, singers allowed the middle to grow with time, but they didn't force it. So let's talk about the chest voice now. Luigi Lablache, one of the greatest basses in history, gave remarkably specific advice when it came to the chest register. He said that chest notes must be produced without allowing the breath or sound to vibrate against the roof or sides of the mouth. In other words, there was no digging, there was no dropping of the throat, there was no darkening artificially. Chest voice was described as speech-like, ding 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 ding, speech-like, mark that, note that in your head, direct, and free. Another thing that I will say is that chest voice, when you're singing correctly, is going to sound really brassy in your head, and it might sound like not good to you and your ear, but that's because it creates an overtone that we call squillo. And squillo literally translates to squeak. So it's gonna be a little squeaky in your head, but when you sing to an audience, it's not going to sound like that at all. James Anderson clarifies in the book that you do not go low to sing low. Chest notes come out easily, they require very little breath, and should feel almost like enhanced speaking. When singers push chest voice, the throat thickens. Girl, do I know what that feels like. high notes disappear, and the voice becomes woolly and dull. Okay, let's finally get into some exercises. So, easy chest discovery. How do we find easy chest discovery? Discover chest voice without throat pressure. We need to, 1, speak a short phrase naturally. Sustain the pitch gently on ah. Keep the feeling exactly the same as speech and no extra breath and no widening or darkening, right? So we're going to think of as if we're calling to someone on the other side of the house. We use our chest voice. We're not yelling, okay? We're going to go, hey, have you seen my keys? And make sure you have that glottal start because that'll help. That at the beginning. Hey, have you seen my keys? 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 Try to use less air. Hey, have you seen my keys? Ah, ah, ah. It's going to sound really brash and dark. Now, let's take it down a little lower. Let's do I love you. Just say I love you. I love you. With a clear glottal start. I love you. Feel the tone, feel the intention behind the voice, add the pitches. I love you. It should sound almost the same quality and intention-wise as I love you. What we don't want to hear is I love you. I love you. Too pretty. Let it be nasty. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Check in. Make sure you're not going, I love you. Right? Not pretty. Nasty. Horrible. Horrible sound. Let it come out. Ready and I love you. 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 And if you're a normal person, that might be, not a normal person, if you're an average person, that might be where your voice goes into head voice. That is how you need to find your chest voice. You need to just do some speaking, right? And then singing is literally just speaking on pitch. And that's chest voice. Now, mixed voice. Let's get back into it. The most misunderstood area of our voice. We also call this kind of the middle register. Gaetano Nava defined registers not by pitch alone, but by mode of resonance. He labeled 3 setups. Chest, mixed, or middle, chest and head, which is also chest and head, and then head. And critically, each register has 1 physical setup. The throat does not blend by force. Blending happens because each setup is stable. Each transition is anticipated gently. Pasquale Amato's teacher spent 10 months welding his register together using scales, sustained tones, and no rushing. The other thing that is going to help you find your mixed register is ensuring that you are not pushing more air. So pushing more air is through your voice is going to spread the vocal cords, you're going to lose contact, and it's going to muffle the sound. And then in order for you to get the voice to close again, to get more resonance, you have to push your muscles, and that hurts and that tires your voice out, and you don't have a voice after you sing. If you want your chest voice to go into head smoothly, right, we go, if this is our chest voice, full contact of the vocal cords, and then we want to go into mix, which is just a little less contact, right? There's still full closure. Air is not leaking through. We want to make sure that we don't suddenly push more air, because if we push more air, we lose it. And then we lose the girthy quality, not girthy quality, the brassy quality of our mixed voice, right? So we want to make sure that if we use less air, we're going to maintain that contact. Does that make sense? So we're going to do really slow slides. We're going to start, this is around what? F4, and we're gonna go making sure that you allow yourself to start in your chest voice, and if your chest voice doesn't go that quite high, then start lower. And if you are not a treble singer, sing it down the octave. Okay? Try it again. Making sure that as you go up, you use less air. I have my students turn down the air knob. Now, this is not a volume knob. Your volume should not change, but your air that you push through the chords should reduce. Thinking of it here, the voice and the control of the air being here, not here. Going on. If your voice pops and like dramatically breaks, it means you have too much air. Now, if you've never worked on your mixed voice before, there's a chance that you're still going to have a voice break, and that's fine, right? Because we haven't exercised the muscle. But if you use less air, it will be less dramatic. Now remember, less air does not mean less sound. And keep practicing that. Now the head voice. The head voice is the throat's greatest ally if we're doing it right. If we are truly letting ourselves sing in head voice and not mixed voice. Lily Lehman called the head voice the most valuable possession a singer can have. Why? Because it preserves the throat, restores elasticity, and creates brilliance and carrying power. Luisa Tetrazzini warned, dragging the middle voice upward makes high notes heavy, muffled, and lifeless. You also will lose the really, really high top part of your range. To the singer, head voice often feels small, weak, and insignificant. But to the listener, it carries. James Anderson reminds us the throat and head voice feels released, not widened or pushed. Lily Lehman describes it as the throat and larynx suspended from the temples. Let's do some exercises to find our head voice. We're going to start quite high. So for non-treble singers, you might want to start around, what is this? D4. And then treble singers will start D5. Okay, and we're gonna go and then you're gonna let it fall. You want that glottal start at the beginning, right? Because then that means that we're not suddenly pushing more air, which is going to make it harder to keep the voice contacted, right? So when we're in chest voice, we have full contact. Mix, we have less. Head, we have even less contact, right? But when the air comes through, we want to make sure we don't split it, right? This doesn't really happen until like very, very high up in our range. So make sure that it's still contacted. We're using just a little baby amount of air, yeah? Okay, so glottal start. And then let it fall. Okay, making sure the mouth is open and not going up a half step. Good, that one's kind of hard because we're getting into like probably pure head. Try it again, reduce the air. So if you feel pressure, then you are dragging in your mixed voice again. All of these singers' messages are consistent. The throat thrives on respect, not demand. Registers exist for a reason. They exist for a reason. All wind instruments have registers. Let me say that again. All wind instruments have registers, especially woodwind instruments. Woodwinds have registers, voices have registers. Force destroys longevity, so if you want to force your voice into doing things it's not ready to do, then congrats, you won't have a voice in 10 years. Head voice heals breaks, so if you're like, ugh, I want to belt higher, but my voice just keeps breaking, you need to practice your head voice. You need to strengthen your head voice, because if you don't, then your voice is going to continue to crack, and you're not going to be able to find that mix. And then ease precedes beauty. So let this voice sound nasty, crazy, let it sound like noise. Because really that's what it is. It's just noise. Let it sound like noise first. You can think about making it sound beautiful later. But when it comes to stabilizing all of your registers, you want to make sure that you're letting it just be noise. The final aim was never to think chest, middle, head. The aim was to make every note equally easy, so the singer could think only of expression. This is the first part of registration that we'll talk about today, and we'll talk about the more next week. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. Until then, I will see you next time.